What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Big Thing. It is UAP Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining us here on the show. A lot to talk about. Again, Jeremy Corbell was on a show, and he said that there are more whistleblowers coming forward. There are going to be more coming forward to Congress. There are going to be more this time with first-hand knowledge. That is what people have been looking for. The question, obviously, in the conversation in this show is going to be when, where, how. We'll talk about all of that. There's other footage that we saw. There's some footage that we have seen. It's a little older, but I'm just curious about what it is in general. Some stuff it could be. We always look at certain things. Like, is it actually something that was floating around in the sky? Was it a balloon? Was it a CGI? What was it? We'll look at one of those for sure. Sean Kirkpatrick, last week we talked about it. That's been the big story for a lot of different places right now, saying that, well, he came out and said it's just all this stuff is human stuff, so that's what it is. Because he said it, and that's what they told us, and we believe it. That's what CNN says. CNN says, well, Sean Kirkpatrick says it, so it's you guys are making stuff up. So we'll discuss that, because there was another report that came out that kind of negated what Kirkpatrick was saying, what he was going to say, and it looked like that report was going to come out, and that's why he released what he did. So we'll get into that. We'll discuss that for sure, because there's a lot, and that'll be the kind of the topic. The most of the topics that we talk about today are going to be those very ones. Thank you for joining us here today. I have to thank everybody who tunes in every week to this show. And then if you found this show, I always ask you to hit that button, subscribe, because we're trying to get to 200,000 faster than we got to 100. If sometimes I'll look and I'll see the amount of people who have tuned into the show and they haven't hit subscribe. Well, it helps. It helps the show. It helps the conversation. And it helps us continue. We're starting to get people who are in the community that have the big voices, and that you see a lot of the big outlets that are interested in this show now, because it's talking to people that are not really deep into the subject and is trying to just basically find out answers. And we're trying to be the voice of the regular folk, going, what the hell is going on out there? And instead of the conversation when you have it, because I'm sure people who are watching this right now, you bring this up at dinner, you bring this up somewhere, and people still look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? So we're just asking questions. And everybody should be asking questions, because nobody on the big outlets are really covering it. On the major outlets on television aren't covering it. So we have to do our part. You guys have to do your part by listening. We have to do our part by asking questions. So all of that. So if you can, hit that button, subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on all of that. So it's me and Mark Reilly here today. It's UAP Tuesday. Let's do it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed UAP Tuesday here on The Big Thing. It's myself, Kristian Harloff, and, as always, Mark Yodius Reilly.
Happy to be here, as always, Mr. Harloff.
Happy to have you here, Mr. Reilly. So we got some stuff to talk about, as always.
Yeah.
It's good to see so many people tuning in on Tuesdays to really be part of the conversation, asking the questions. I know, I'm sure you've been looking at a lot of the comments and things that are coming in, and people are very curious, and people are starting to get more more knowledgeable about this stuff. And I think it's good. We're still in that spot, though. You know, I even had this conversation with a buddy of mine. I think I said it last week, but I'll say it again, is that I was talking to my friend from home, and he's like, yeah, I noticed you've been doing this on Tuesday. He's like, yeah, you don't really believe in that stuff, do you? I'm like, yeah. And if you paid attention to what's going on in the news, you know, and when I say believe in that stuff, I'm just talking about, like, just that there are things in the sky.
There's stuff out there.
Yeah. And it's like, I said, dude, if you paid attention to the actual, I asked him about if he knew about Schumer and Rounds. He had no clue.
Nope.
Yeah. I asked him if he knew about the hearings. I kind of heard about that. It's like, it's insane that people are like, I kind of heard about that. He's like, I did see the jellyfish thing. He said, and he goes, no, you know what? That's not true. He actually said that to me after the initial conversation that we had with him.
Oh, really?
So to be fair to him, he went back and he said, look, I looked at that jellyfish thing. Yeah. He goes, I don't know how to explain that. Yeah. And I saw somebody on the comments last week goes, yeah, it was a smudge. Cut it out. The Pentagon is not going to.
It's not a smudge.
It's a smudge.
That I know.
Pentagon's not going to say, we don't talk about leaked things. If it was a smudge on a camera. You know, if it was like a drone, okay, maybe it's a drone. Maybe it's a weird drone that we don't know what it is, and they don't want to let know what the secrets are. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Smudge, cut it out.
Yeah, and listening to Weaponized with Corbell and Knapp, I mean, they really make a good case. They do. And I listen to it, and, we've been back and forth on this show. I mean,
you're in an internal struggle with this.
It really is. I go, you're right, guys. I listen to Corbell and Knapp. I go, God, you're right. This is huge. What is this? And then I'll watch some, military guy that was on the base, and he's like, look, they're balloons. We've been there. We've done this. I go back and forth. Like I said, this is where I'm landing. We don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah, well, that's why it goes back to what you and I have been saying since the day we started this podcast, and that's it's just going to need something else. It's going to need something else to say. You cannot argue with what that is.
Right, and that footage that is missing, where it comes in the water and out of the water and takes off. We need that. And they believe it's out there. They address that in Weaponized. They say it's hopefully we can get that footage, but that is the sourcing that they have, and they put it through the ringer on what they're going to share. And they even recorded parts of their episode with the Jellyfish video. Didn't release it until they had all their cross their T's and dot their I's. And that's admirable.
Sorry, and I have to ask, when you say the ringer, the website, they're putting stuff on the ringer?
No, sorry. That's just the terminology. As the saying goes.
Yeah, I was gone through the ringer. I didn't know if they were actually going to put stuff on the ringer.
Right.
That's why.
No, they vet it. They vet this stuff, and I have since changed my idea that it's balloons because it moves weird, and so it is the definition of a UAP.
Could be a drone.
It could be a drone.
A really weird drone.
It could be something, and it kind of goes to the big picture here of what we're talking about. We're not saying that they're aliens from Mars, every time. Right. They could be drones. They could be. It's the tech. It could be this crazy tech that is classified information or tech that's from China or Russia or whoever, and are they enemies of the United States, and are we at risk as just civilians? And that is what we want to know. I happen to believe there's even a bigger explanation and bigger implications on what this changing my worldview, all that kind of stuff. We just want some answers. We just want the transparency. That is the theme always.
And it is, especially you mentioned Corbell. Well, this is the kind of main topic that we're going to be talking about today, is that right before we went on the air, Mark and I were talking about how when there is another hearing, and there should be one, I mean, it seems like when they came out of that skiff, it seemed like everybody was on the same page that there will be another hearing. The question is, will that hearing be in February? Will it be in March? Will it be the end of the year? Whenever it will be. Reilly and I have also discussed that we will be doing a kind of live watch along with it. We hope that you guys will join us. We're trying to do a live one and watch it whenever it is out. And the reason I bring that up is because of what Jeremy Corbell said on this show, and I'm going to play it in a second, is that there are more whistleblowers. You have to. I mean, because even Burchett was talking about they have people lined up that are going to do the same kind of wow impact that Grusch had, right? Because you got to have more than just Grusch. If they have Grusch come back and say, well, this is what I heard from somebody, and I say this, I think Grusch is an American hero. I think Grusch is. But if you have them keep coming, well, I heard this, and I interviewed this person, and they said this, you're going to get the same skeptics going, okay, he heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? As opposed to someone who goes, no, I was working on these things. We saw this. We did that in front of Congress. Because there are people who are talking about on podcasts. You got Lekatsky, who I showed the wrong picture of last week, who said that they breached the hull of the ship. Get that guy in front. And that's what Pavel last week said, that's what they probably would try to do, is get him.
Good.
Get that guy in front of Congress to say, have him say it under oath.
Yeah.
And have people then report on that. The main outlets will still not report on it, but still.
Right. Well, that's what we really need. That's what a lot of the people that are skeptics, and rightly so, you're not going to really move the needle until, I mean, we're going to move the needle. Grusch moved the needle, I feel.
More so than it was in the last 5 years, for
Absolutely.
Sure. Even 60 years.
But once that needle moves just a smidge, and then the people come out of the woodworks, and they're like, and the questions and the debunkers and all those different things, you need to get those firsthand people.
Right.
And so that needle moves even more.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. And, you're going to, and here's the other thing I say about Kirkpatrick, because they've asked him, I think they've asked him, and you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, why hasn't he testified? If this is all this stuff that he's putting it on LinkedIn and he's writing little articles, well, then testify and say that, testify in front of the next hearing and testify and say, no, we have no evidence whatsoever. We've done, testify. Let's be, I think it's healthy to have someone in that hearing also that's going, no, what they're also saying here is not factual. It's this, because they don't want to be called out by the people that are in the room. He doesn't want to be called out by the people in the room.
Right.
That should tell you something. Now, if he winds up, now I'll eat my shoe if he winds up going over there and testifying, but he should. He was the head of the AARO. He should.
He absolutely should. And, it's so frustrating to see, like, we were talking off air, a CNN opinion piece that he was at the center of, basically saying, look, there's really nothing to see here. There are people that want to believe this stuff, and they're in the Senate and they're in Congress. And, the Pentagon said, it's just human from the way all the way down. And it's like, that's it? That's the opinion piece? Right. Is that there's nothing to see here? Move along? I find that really hard.
And why does Chuck Schumer want to believe it?
Right.
During an election year.
Yeah, right. And he brought up Harry Reid, who passed away years ago, but that, he's like, well, he wants to, believe that they're angels and that there's some kind of higher purpose. It's, a religious angle to it. And, you just have true believers that are within Congress and everything. And I said, it's so hard to hear that and listen to that, and without any proof, without any, like, if you back it up with documents from the Pentagon saying, this is what it is, it's human, nothing to see here.
Right.
Great.
That's the whole point. There's no proof on that. It's like, look, okay, didn't want to let this know because it's national security, but the conversation's been going on long enough, and it's been going on where it's got to be, we have to be rational here. Here is the deal. This is craft that we've been working on. We have higher technology that we've been working on for years. It's what it is. We cannot release exactly what it is, but we want to get the information out there. Or it's technology we recovered from other governments. We're not going to release which governments that are, but we have that. This is the proof. This is it. And put that proof out there in the same way that we're saying you need the proof of the freaking ship landed on the White House lawn in order for people to say, oh, it's from another dimension. It's from another planet. It's from the same thing should be said for, okay, fine. You can't just have some guy who has been, criticized for being a government or pawn, or is in Kirkpatrick, or a guy who's Lockheed Martin, whatever it might be, a guy who's playing, he's a quarterback for the other team.
Yeah, it works both ways, I would say. It's just as we want proof, and if Grusch comes out and says, yes, this exists because somebody told me, right? And then Kirkpatrick says, this doesn't exist because the Pentagon told me. But then there's no backing up on any of it. So it does work both ways, and I understand that. Yes, and so again, we're just asking for proof or transparency
on anything.
More than on anything. If it is just Russian, Chinese, American technology that we're testing out and it's flying in the skies, well, why are there so many close calls, according to some people in the military, like Graves, who says this thing flew like 30 feet from us, or one of his people in his command? Like, that's scary to consider,
What is it?
What is it?
Yeah. So, and speaking of the firsthand knowledge, speaking of the witnesses that could come across, here is the interview with Jeremy Corbell that I want to play, and then we'll talk about it after we watch it. Here it is.
Now, looking ahead to the rest of the year, what developments do you predict in the field of UAP disclosures?
Well, look, man, I don't have a crystal ball. I cannot predict the future. I don't even know when my alarm clock's going to go off, even when I set it. But what I can say for sure is that people have been encouraged. They have come forward to me and to George Knapp. We are getting them in front of Congress. We are getting them in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee. And that information, some of it, will be going public. So my prediction for 2024 is what I know is going to happen. More people are coming forward with firsthand direct knowledge of these government programs reverse engineering UFOs.
Are there any revelations, Jeremy, that you think the public should be prepared for in 2024?
Yeah, if you don't know by now, then it's time to catch up. And if you don't catch up, you're going to be left behind. This is not something that should be shrouded in secrecy. This is not something that should be overlaid with stigma. This is a real issue, and people are on a daily basis encountering UAP or UFOs in our military and in other militaries around the world.
Okay, so with that, the thing that stands out to me is that he's talking mostly about the programs, the reverse engineer programs. That seems what I feel is going to be the main focus of this next hearing. Is going to be these reverse engineer programs that someone who had direct knowledge, and he seems to say a few of them, right? So let's say there's 2 or 3 that have this exact information, that worked on the programs, know how they got the craft in general, whatever it might be. That information alone will be something that people will be like, whoa, they got it from here. They found it here. This is where they were keeping it. This is what they worked on. This is what the intent of the program is. That is a lot that if you don't cover that in the mainstream media, your network should be shut down.
Yeah.
If that is indeed the case, do you think that this is what it is? Or is it going to be something where, maybe they have somebody who says, oh, yeah, I worked on it once?
I mean, it's the idea of reverse engineering is in itself one of the things we're talking about.
Right.
That's scary too, for me at least. The idea that there is technology that exists that is so incredibly advanced, and they're like, whether it's Lockheed or Boeing or whatever company's doing this work is like, nothing to see here. That's one thing.
Right.
Okay. Do I think they're going to? I think it should be a focus. I mean, it's all under the same kind of banner for me, which is like, what is it? Who's working on it? Are they flying around in the skies now? Because I like to take a plane every once in a while. That scares me to think that you're like testing something that might endanger civilians. But whether or not that becomes the central focus of it, I mean, I hope so. I hope that we get just broken record here, transparency.
Right.
I just hope we get answers. Doesn't have to be.
But they can't do a hearing if there's. They can't just do another hearing that is like, oh yeah, there might be crap. We might have recovered something. It's got to be significant.
Right. It's got to be significant, and we have to know what exactly is out there. And if you don't know, say it, and have whatever supporting documents you can bring or supporting witnesses that can say, well, I saw this. We don't know what it is. That would give us some kind of answer, maybe.
Right.
But reverse engineering is a scary thing to consider if it is, let's say, the what if possibilities. Let's call it something that they don't know what it is.
Right.
That Grusch has said, there was one in Italy. When he was on Rogan, he was like, there was something that crashed in Italy.
In the 30s.
In the 30s or 40s. I think it was even the 40s.
No, it was the 30s.
Was it
like
the 30s?
1933. It's before the Roswell one.
My God. So
something like that.
So the idea of them transporting whatever that is and then reverse engineering that. That's one thing. Again, we're not saying, it's alien and we don't know where it came from. But now we have ships that can fly from San Francisco to New York in 3 seconds. Right. It's like, that's a lot to handle.
Right.
So why can't we just, I don't know. Why it's if these big companies, Boeing, Lockheed, whatever, are working on advanced technology, show your hand a bit. I know that you might want to protect a lot of things.
I was going to say, wouldn't the argument against that be, well, why are we going to show our hand when,
of course,
because we in the States are showing our hand, but Russia's not showing their hand, and China's not showing their hand, Japan's not showing, no one's showing
legitimate. Yeah, that is a legitimate point because we want to protect our secrets, and I get that because we don't want whoever it may be to, steal the technology if that's what it is.
Or what Grusch said I think it was on Rogan, is that what happens if inside, someone slips and says something that they were working on or they were trying to do that in the same way when you look at like Oppenheimer. There's that one thing when the Germans were working on how to do the science, they were doing it wrong, and then Oppenheimer went, that they were trying to do that.
Yeah.
But reverse that and do that instead.
Right.
And if that comes up, and they go, oh, they were trying to do that. Wait a minute, we've been doing that too. Do that instead.
I think that's the strongest argument for not sharing things because I would think that there are military people out there that have either served or know what national security and what it takes to protect us.
Yeah.
Being like, do not say shit. We do not want others to just like Grusch is like, how many crashes were there?
He said multiple.
He said multiple. He didn't want to give a number because then he said, well, there could be
But he
Russians.
didn't say crashes though. Too. He just said ships. Because there's a theory that these things. Because there's a question. I think that Paula. It was Rogan just had on Paula.
I know
I'm not
you're
great
talking.
with names. I'm sorry, Doctor Who. And it was a thing about consciousness and all these different things, and they talked about
it's fascinating.
How Rogan was like, there's a lot of ships that crash. She's like, well, if you believe that, because she's part of the Gary Nolan crew who recovered bits of the crash stuff, and Rogan asked her, like, well, that's a lot of crash ships. If these things are so advanced, why are they crashing? She's like, I have a theory that I don't. A lot of people have this theory that they're not crashing, that they're almost like gifts. I don't know.
That's interesting. I what I'm saying is like Grusch not wanting to confirm or deny how many, because then the Russians could be maybe listening and go, if he says, yeah, there were 12, and then the Russians like, wait a minute, we only had 9.
Right.
So send some more people out to get the information of where the rest of those are, the other 4 or 5 or whatever the discrepancy is. And so I get protecting that. I mean, I get more than anything, even saying this out loud on the show right now, just how important it is to protect us as a nation and the government, making sure that it's like, you don't want to know these things because of people that are, going to listen and try to harm us using our own technology maybe. But it is a fine line when these things, and you said it at the top of the show, like something is flying around out there. There are a number of people that have seen it, me included. I've seen something. I've said it many times here. So what the hell is that then? And why aren't we aware of certain things where I see something in Michigan in the middle of the night? It moves just like the Go Fast video. It moves just like the Tic Tac, where it. Okay, that's a drone. That's the United States. And again, I just answered my own question. I think we can't exactly say that if we want to protect these secrets. But if it's like that is military testing, and that's what kind of they've fallen under everything. It's a military thing. It's a balloon. Don't worry. Move on.
But one of the things, though, with all of that is basically, because I kind of posed a question to you, is like, you got to be careful on what you say as far as national security goes. But is there something to be said about, look, here's the deal, and this is, I think, what Schumer was trying to get to is, here's the deal: we have recovered this. We believe it is this, whatever this might be. We believe all of this. We have this, this, and this, and we've been working on this. We cannot go into details on what this is for matters of national security, but to let you know, as not only people of the United States, but people of the world, we have these things and we're working on these things, and this answers this particular question. Now, we cannot give you any more than that because there are other things and there are other places that are working on these things that we don't know how they're going to be used for. We don't know what now, yes, will that open up a major can of worms and a major investigation? It will. But what will continue to happen is if people because I do believe, though, there are people on the side, even the side of it, because like in any game that you play, when I say game, is it spy games or all these things? Yeah. Any of these games, there's always that person who you think that they're on your team, but then they're on the other team. I believe that there's somebody inside of the team of the Lockheed Martin, all those people, it's time. It's time. And they go to work and they go, hey, zip it up. Yeah, zip it up. Listen, this is coming, doing this, doing that. I think they got moles. I wouldn't
be surprised.
Yeah, I'm not Jeremy Corbell. I don't have any of that.
Yeah,
whatsoever,
no,
but
we're two regular guys asking questions. That's what this show is all about.
Yeah.
We're just the regular people out there that are looking into the skies, whether we're having our own experience or watching the videos that do leak or do come out or are released, like the government has done with the websites. That's like, these are officially official things that we don't know what these things are.
Right.
And I think you answered my question, because I was thinking about this. If they were to come out and say, all right, we can tell you this, it is not extraterrestrial in origin, but we know what they are. We can't say anything more than that. Is that an answer?
It's an answer, but I don't think it's going to be an answer that
It's not a great one.
Because people are going to go, well, wait a minute. What do you mean you can't tell us what it is? Tell us what it is.
Because let's say it's an advanced drone,
Right.
or something that is going to revolutionize the travel industry as we know it.
Okay, then I would say to you, well, fine. Then behind a skiff or behind whatever it is, show the proof to our representatives.
There you go.
Let those representatives come out and go, okay, we saw concrete proof that's exactly what this stuff is. All the different reports from 1940 until last week, yesterday, they're all this. Then I think you'd have to go, all right, I don't know, maybe.
That's when you have your faith in your elected officials, hopefully, right?
If Burchett comes out of nowhere and starts saying, look, we saw stuff that changed my opinion on this, that we thought that it was this particular thing, and it is now this. And I, without a shadow of a doubt, think that this is this. You at least have to go, huh?
Yeah.
But the chances of that happening are slim to none.
And that's what we're talking about.
Right.
That's all. And I get if in my proposed question, it is so that they are protecting their, whether it's an investment, protecting the technology that maybe they created, so that it will advance the betterment of our United States civilians and whatnot. I get that.
But that's not what they're doing. They're protecting their ass.
They're protecting their ass. They are.
That's what they're protecting.
And that's what's so frustrating is like I can pose that question and I can poke holes in it too, because you're like, well, but Burchett is a great, I think, example of if he came out and said, look, okay,
I'm changed.
I tend to believe him because he's such a straight shooter. Right. Because that's just an instinctual thing for me, is the idea that he comes out and he says it like it is. Right. And I like the way he says it, it's just like,
I don't believe it.
Yeah, he's a straight shooter, it seems like. So there's certain, and even Grusch, there are credible people out there that do this. And then the people like Kirkpatrick, there's something off about what he is saying. And that's instinctual. That's just my gut feeling.
Now look, the flip side of that is that the 180 type of podcast from us would be saying the same thing about Burchett on the opposite. They were like, I don't know, Burchett always seems like he's just like one of these guys that wants to believe in this, but Kirkpatrick to me seems like the straight shooter. He seems like so there is that particular side of it that's going to see it that way, but there's got to be something, and that's why I think these hearings. And so when I bring up Jeremy Corbell, for those people who listen to the other stuff on this channel with the movie news, you'll know the name Jeff Snyder, who's just been breaking every news story. Jeremy Corbell is essentially the Jeff Snyder of the UFO community at this point. Yeah. And so when it comes to that, he's sitting front row at the hearings with Knapp, and he's the one who released this Jellyfish video. So I tend to take his idea or notion that there's going to be more whistleblowers coming forward at these hearings. And I haven't listened to that full interview, but I wondered, and I would have asked him this. And by the way, I've reached out to Jeremy Corbell. I've tried to get him on this show. If you guys tag him, let him know. I think the people inside of this community, whether it's a Jeremy Corbell, James Fox, Gary Nolan, any of them, the reason why I believe that they should be on a show like this is because you're not just talking to the same people that have been following this community for years. You're talking to people that we're trying to open eyes to, or at least ask questions to. So that's why I reached out to Jeremy Corbell. I haven't gotten a response, and that's fine. I understand he's super busy too, and he's doing the major outlets, and I get it. But the reason why I'd like to have him on, because I would have asked him the question of whether or not we're going to have, like, when he thinks that next hearing is going to be. And they very well might have asked him that question. I didn't hear the whole interview. Yeah. But that's my question. When is it? Mm-hmm. Because it needs to happen sooner than later if you're going to kind of move it. Because the other thing that they haven't released yet is this footage from the Gary Nolan kind of Soul Conference, which they've been editing that thing. What's that going to be all about? Right. That's a full episode for us when that thing comes out. So I don't know. Very curious to what you guys think about all this. When are we getting this? This hearing? Who's going to testify? Is it going to move the needle at all, or is we going to be in the same spot? I want to hear from all of you, whether you're a true on-believer, whether you're just coming on board and starting to believe, whether you're a skeptic, whether you have a lot of questions, whatever it is, let your thoughts be known. Have the conversation with us. Have the conversation with each other. All right, guys, let's talk about AG1. You guys know I love AG1. If you've been listening to my show, you've heard me talk about them, and I've been drinking them for about 2 years now, and I love it. Never been a vitamins guy. I've told you that. I take it all one shot AG1. I put it in a water bottle. I shake it up. I'm good to go. I recommend AG1 to my friends. I recommend AG1 to my family. Everybody. AG1 is a team of doctors and scientists. It is tested for 950 contaminants and NSF certified for sport. It is formulated based on the latest science and maintains high quality standards. You guys know they've been with us for a while because you guys know too. You've all been checking them out, and everybody who's been signing up to AG1 says the same thing. It's changed your energy. It's changed how you approach things in the day. You're smiling more. Running around the place and you're sleeping better. I know. AG1 is the supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily. And that's why they've been a partner for so long. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. Check it out. I'm so excited to have Magic Spoon back. So you guys have said it. You said it to me lately. You go, hey, you lost some weight, man. You're looking good. I've been trying. My New Year's resolution was to cut back on sugar, add protein to my diet, and I stay on track with my fitness goals. So I was excited to get Magic Spoon back on the rotation. Makes it easy, and it's more delicious than ever now. Growing up, I love cereal. And not even just growing up. Recently, I've been trying. I've fired down sugary cereal for a snack, but the problem is when you get older, you got to watch out for those empty carbs because they add up. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors that you love, but it's got high protein and it's got less sugar. So for me, I did the protein shakes for a bit, but I wanted a delicious way to get my protein before and after workouts, and it's good for a snack. Variety pack, they have cocoa, they have fruity, they have frosted, they have peanut butter. I mix the peanut butter and the cocoa, personally. This pack has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and about 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. There's only 140 calories per serving. High protein and 0 grams of sugar. It's amazing. So if you go to magicspoon.com/bigthing, you can grab a variety pack and you can try it today. So be sure to use our promo code BIGTHING at checkout to save $5 on your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it, any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, start the new year off with a great, delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/bigthing and use the code BIGTHING to save $5 off. That's magicspoon.com/bigthing. All right, again, thank you to our wonderful sponsors. And as I've told you guys beforehand, even if you're listening for the first time, I've gotten a lot of wonderful support from this, and I've gotten emails, and I've gotten a lot of things with people saying that they're happy that we're doing this. The reason we are able to do this is because we have sponsors. And if you want to help the show and you're able to help the show, please consider getting one of our sponsors today. Please consider it because it is super helpful, and you're going to get a great thing out of it too. All right, let's move on, Reilly. I want to talk about this. All right, this is from Politico. Uncoordinated internal watchdog wraps the Pentagon's UFO tracking effort. The Defense Department's effort to identify UFOs is uncoordinated and could have overlooked threats to the United States, according to an unclassified version of a report from the Pentagon's internal watchdog released Thursday. In the report, originally released last August but containing classified sections, the DoD's Inspector General reviewed the department's policies and procedures for detecting, reporting, and analyzing UFO reports that have flooded the departments in recent years. After an investigation, the IAG found the Defense Department doesn't have a coordinated approach, has developed varying processes for collecting and analyzing UFO reports, and has largely excluded regional military commands which are responsible for detecting and deterring threats against the United States and developing policies. We determined that the DoD has no overreaching UAP policy, and as a result, it lacks assurance that national security and flight safety threats to the United States from UAP have been identified and mitigated, the report said, using the acronym for the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon, which is how the government refers to UFOs. The UFO flared up last year after a highly anticipated House hearing in which lawmakers bashed the Pentagon's lack of transparency and how it was handling reports. The unclassified IG report was released given the significant public interest, according to a press release. According to the report, DoD officials who spoke with the IG said they had been waiting for comprehensive guidance from leaders before developing their own strategies. The Inspector General found the Pentagon's response to UFO incidents is uncoordinated and concentrated within each military department, the report reads. The Defense Department has attempted to address concerns for those who have reported UFO sightings, unveiling a secure form in October that service members and government employees can use to report sightings of the phenomena to a government office. In the report, DoD offices largely agreed with or addressed recommendations from the Inspector General. All right, so this seems to me, this report was going to come out, it looks like before the Kirkpatrick stuff, right? And it seems like, they're really handling it. They don't know. I mean, what do you make of this?
Well, it was, I was thinking about like when you hear something and you call somebody else and you tell them that, and then that person calls somebody else, and then before you know it, it's a game of telephone. And then, well, this person didn't tell me that. Basically, it's a mess.
Right.
It's a mess that they don't know who's doing what, who's seen what. And so because of this internal political thing here we got going here, we don't know who's scratching our back or grabbing our ass, you know? And that's what it seems like to me, is that everybody, it's uncoordinated. And it reminds me of stuff where in Oppenheimer, the development of the atomic bomb, we had husbands and wives working on different things that had no idea what the other was doing, and they couldn't say anything.
Well, it's this secrecy problem.
It's absolutely a secrecy problem.
It's because we can't let that department know about this, and we can't let this know about that. So there's no coordination between it, because they're trying. And this is why when you hear people say this all the time, I don't trust that the government will be able to keep this quiet. They're not. Clearly. That's why you got jellyfish videos floating around. That's why you have all these things, and that's why you have these. They're trying so hard, keep that away from that person, keep that there. Don't let that person say this, because God forbid we have another David Grusch. We have this, we have that. Don't tell a person that. And then you get this of just like this kind of mess of like, well, they don't know how to, they're not equipped for that. They can't handle that. There's no reason to do that. They have this bill now that you're going to do that they should have had a long time ago, that if you're a commercial pilot and you're flying around and you see something floating around right next to you, you have somewhere to report it now.
Yeah, that's what we need. It reminds me sometimes when there could be like breakdowns in law enforcement if somebody is murdered or missing or whatnot, and then it travels into different jurisdictions, and you have one jurisdiction that doesn't want to share this information because they're doing their investigation, and it bleeds over to another county, and another jurisdiction wants to get involved, so they go, hey, I want to get that information so it helps ours, and they go, no, we can't give you that. And guess what happens? The person gets murdered because they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs trying to argue on like who has the jurisdiction over which jurisdiction. It's really shitty to think that you have one person in this side of things in the Pentagon or wherever it may be who has this information or wants to report something, and they don't know where to go because somebody over here is like, no, that's over here. No, you want Bill down in third level here, right? It just seems like the uncoordinated
Bill hasn't worked there in years.
And Bill's been fired for years, you know? You know, it's like we got to get Milton out of here, put him in the basement, you know, whatever it may be. It's scary to think that, you know, if something like a pilot, you know, who's afraid to report something because of what could happen to their job or their security, what depending on what it is, to think that if they finally do take that step and they report it to something, it can get lost. Yeah, it could just get lost in what is ultimately comes down to politics. Right, that's what it feels like.
Well, yeah, I think there's definitely, absolutely, you're 100% right, the politics of it, but there's also, and this is something that we've talked about many times over, and I want to hammer down the point that the second that, fingers crossed, the roof of this thing finally does blow off, one of the main reasons they're trying to keep this quiet, the amount of lawsuits, the amount of criminal investigations that will go on, and people are, well, why? Because you're taking money from think about the lawsuit in general. So let's say Lockheed Martin somehow was the reason that they came across the contract. They've been the ones working with this. They were the ones that putting the money into it. They're the ones that had the most investment to it. And there's other companies that could have put a bid on it and could have had it, but they didn't know about it. They had no clue. They had no clue they could have worked on it. But they weren't included in it. They could sue. We never had an opportunity to put a bid. We never had an opportunity to do this. The amount of stuff that if it does come out that this was kept quiet, this was handled illegally, this was paid off, all that stuff, like the amount, and for years that will be investigated. And that's, if you believe, again, this that's all this really is. A lot of this is rumors. And I can't remember where it came from because I've just been paying attention to all of it.
Yeah.
That there was apparently a president that wanted to give full disclosure. Now, some people think it was Obama, some people think it was Trump, whoever it was going to be. That person was told, do not, and we cannot do this, because the amount of investigations that will come through and the amount of, I think this was actually, Grusch talked about this on Rogan, and the amount of things that will happen will be astronomical.
Yeah.
And then that president backed off.
I bet. I mean, it's like people don't want to share their secrets, and there's a million reasons why. But I think that would, I think what you said too. I mean, the amount of lawsuits that could maybe pop up, people getting in trouble, losing jobs. It's just we are in that world of misinformation, social media, spinning things out of control, whatever it may be. The idea of just not knowing what this person said and what this person knows and what they are saying to this person, it gets so confusing that you hide behind the stigma of it and just say UFOs are, I always say it like this, it's a dragon.
Right.
We're not going there because most people, not us and people watching here, but most people are not really asking those questions. They don't want to know. They're not even
aware of it.
Most cases, I would say they're not even aware of it. Because, again, and it goes to the media going, not even covering that Schumer is up there going, hey, everybody, let's figure this out. Tell me what's going on. We want transparency. That the Speaker of the House, or whoever it may be, Senate Majority Leader, is saying, we want answers. And that doesn't even make it to my father, who reads the news every day. Right. Which is crazy to think. But that's
what they will see,
about.
though. But what he will see is that opinion piece on CNN.
Correct.
That will somehow in the algorithm that will wind up in his inbox. That will wind up somewhere.
Isn't that interesting?
It's strange that the ones that are always trying to negate it or give. And I'm not telling you that guy shouldn't have wrote that piece. Fine. But it's just interesting that that's the one that's going to start floating around. When you do like a UFO news thing, the amount of articles from real outlets that are talking about Sean Kirkpatrick saying no, as opposed to when the Schumer and Rounds thing was going on, limited. Yeah. It's weird.
It's really weird because I mean, I think that these debunkers and these people, like you said, they're better at this than
George Knapp said that.
Yeah, Knapp said that, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that it's they do hide behind, and they can hide behind the simple debunker. This is just fantasy. This is just because most people will go and not look past that.
Yeah.
So the opinion piece on CNN, Kirkpatrick saying Pentagon has said, I don't have the report though, Pentagon is saying it's human from all the way down.
Because the person reading that isn't saying, oh, I don't care about the report. They're just going, oh, another thing where
they'll go see.
Let's see, it was a balloon in Roswell. You're right. Let's
move on.
Who won the game last night?
Exactly.
That's what they want. It's that subliminal kind of, back in like the 50s and 60s when I would do the drive-in theaters, and then they would pop a quick picture of like popcorn.
Yeah, they go, oh, I want popcorn.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's like, well, no. Just trust me, because someone's coming. They're not paying attention to this stuff anyway, except like, those idiots on Tuesday who do that show and and Corbell and Nav. Yeah, they're gonna keep talking, but the average person that we don't want really knowing about this stuff, they'll see this, they'll go, okay, nothing to see here, move along.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Because there's stuff going on that and rightly so. Our world is terrible.
Right.
There's stuff going on all over the world. Wars happening, people dying, politics making a big difference in whether those wars are going to be handled or we're going to step in. And now we have an election year, and most of these people are worried about their kids, worried about making bills on time, paying, making sure their house doesn't get taken out from under them. So
and it's fantasy to them.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
They all they have to see is Kirkpatrick says Pentagon has documents that this is just human. See, I told you, there's no UFOs out there.
It builds on that narrative of, again, nothing to see here. It's just the people who want to believe in it are kind of making it kind of happen. And this Grusch guy is whatever, and all this other footage that they have. It's all explainable. Don't worry. Go back to doing what you're doing. You're okay. Don't.
Right.
It's like they live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's exactly.
So anyway, all that. And then look, there is this thing also. All right, this was released by the Inspector General. This is January 24th. This is an unclassified summary. You can see this too. I'm going to put this in the description below, so if you guys want to check it, because I'm not going to read all this stuff, but it's unclassified summary of report number DODIG 2023-109, evaluation of the DOD's actions regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena. This is from August 15, 2023, but released on, I guess, January. Note, a classified version of the evaluation of the DOD's actions regarding the UAPs formed the basis of the unclassified summary. There is this whole thing here that's just going through the whole breakdown. This is official breakdown of the UAP, and just showing the reason I show this at all. And again, I can't read through this whole thing, but it's just basically to break down everything kind of going down with the history right. Let's go back to that Kirkpatrick thing and all that stuff. Why is this? If there's something serious enough to make this, put it out there. You can access this right now, and like I said, I'll put it in the description. You can check it out. It's just a little too, like, to me, if it's what Kirkpatrick says, like, yeah, we have a program, we have technology, we don't want to talk about it, and these people are making stuff up. Come out and say it. And don't have documents like this floating around about the whole time and a whole. I mean, it's just like it just smells like farts.
It does smell like farts, and it's confusing as hell because it'll be like nothing to see here, but here's an official document where there's something to see.
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. Right. If you dig into that, and they are counting on people, the regular people out there that are worried about their mortgage and the next election. They're not going to go into that document. Right. They know that. And these people, like Kirkpatrick, I think are betting on that.
Right. They're not going to read it. So here's the point. Read it. I'm going to put it in the link in the description. Read it. Read about, in general, what you think. And if you're a skeptic, please read it. I'm not telling you you're not going to be a skeptic after not reading it, but get the information. Read it. And that's why Reilly makes a fantastic point. This is out there in the same way that cockamamie website with all the actual footage is out there, but it looks like it was created in a Apple classroom in 1988, and that's out there, and it's not promoted. You don't know it's out there unless you're listening to shows like this.
Unless you're looking for it.
They're not making it aware. They're not having look. If you want to go check out exactly what it is, look at this document from the DOD. Look at this unclassified document. Now, look at it, read it, get your information, be informed. That's the whole point. That's the point of this show, and that's the point of a lot of this. Be informed, as where Jeremy Corbell was talking about. It's like just be in the know. It's what you don't want to do is, this is the thing where, and we had breakfast this morning, me and you, and my wife joined us, and she was talking more so about, like, it's one of those things that she'll know when she has to know. It's essentially what she said, right?
Yeah.
And I saw some people in the comments like, but your wife's part of the problem. Maybe. When it comes to, but she's not. But she's concentrated on other things. We have kids. She's doing it. She's concentrated on other things. But my wife and a lot of other people, where one day, if all this information kind of comes out and the networks have to cover it and it's everywhere, they're going to go, holy shit, that thing you've been doing on Tuesday. I guess there's some merit to that, huh? Like what? Like I guess I should start watching it. What's happened? The news, not just my show, but anybody's show that's covering this stuff and getting the news on it and all that, because you're going to go, whoa, this isn't, because if you paid attention to that Kirkpatrick thing and you're like, I guess that was full of shit.
Yeah.
I read that and thought it was legit. Yeah. And you're just going to have all this flood of information that's going to go boom, 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 and hit you in the face.
That's going to be a lot of people.
It's going to be
really
a lot.
And
Matrix stuff.
Yeah. And I would argue that she's not part of the problem, that the problem is part of it is the mainstream media not reporting on this stuff, because you do have to put it in front of people. Like our wives, both of our wives are very much like, nah, I got this to worry about. My wife's pregnant. Do you think she's going to be looking up in the sky? No, she's looking down going,
she's trying to figure out what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and my dad, I always bring him up, he's not getting it from his most trusted first, the OC Register or LA Times or whatever the hell he's reading now. That's the actual paper, because it's not being covered. So again, they are counting on that people are not looking. Because it is, you go to one of these websites that might have the stuff that we're talking about, that we believe in and whatnot, and it looks like, somebody created in the basement, and it's like, and it's the Inquirer or something.
Exactly. You bring up your dad. You know what? The other day, probably like a week ago, I was talking to my dad, and I haven't talked about this stuff at all. And he's asking, I said, well, so how's the show's going? What's going on? I told him about, I said, well, Tuesday's been really kind of great for me because I've been able to go out there and talk about this thing that I'm really passionate about, and it's doing well for us, and I'm glad to be talking about it. And he's like, well, what is it? I told him, we're ready, and he's so into it.
Is he into it?
He believes in it. He believes in all this. He thinks that the government's definitely not telling. My dad's a Vietnam War vet. And he's very much so like, yeah, there's more out there that he's like, if anybody tries to tell you that we're the only ones here.
Yeah.
And he's like going straight. I was so happy to like hear, like, we didn't like geek out about all this stuff too. And he's not super like well informed, because he does people watching the news and they're not covering it. But like if he's paying attention to certain things, and he kind of knows about Grusch a little bit too, but he's the type of guy that should know about all of it. But he's not, because he watches. He can barely work streaming. He turns on and he's waiting for the news, and he watches the news, and then he watches his sports and his movies and goes to sleep. Yeah. Walks the dogs. But if it's on the news, he's going to pay attention to it. And he was about as informed as he could have been for someone who's watching mainstream stuff. Yeah. But his take on it was something that was really it was great. It was great.
Yeah, and my dad, very similar, but they come from. That era, the Kennedy assassination was my dad being like, they're not telling us.
Right.
There's something stinks here. It's not. I mean, I talked to my dad. We're listening to that great podcast that Reiner's doing.
Reiner, yeah. He finished now, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, all about, and you listen to this thing, and I mean, I don't care who you are. You listen to this thing, and it's like, it's not Oswald.
Right.
It can't be just Oswald. It's got to be something more to it, and that's the one thing that got my dad to perk up. I go, the government's not telling us everything. Just like Kennedy, Dad. And he goes, yeah, you're right. Because they have to protect their secrets. That's what it starts with. And then it just like misinformation campaigns and just not getting people to look at, not wanting people to see what they're talking about.
I'd love to get Reiner's thoughts on this. I wonder what Reiner feels about this.
I wonder. I mean, I think he would be 100% in on the idea that the government is hiding something. Yeah. Because they got to be hiding things to protect their ass. But Reiner, I wonder, would be like, yep, there's probably hiding some kind of program to protect their interests, and I would think Reiner would be like, it's military,
right?
And it's advanced technology. They don't want to say whether it's aliens. I don't know about that, but that's where I think he'd land on this. It'd be very interesting.
Hey guys, did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. Get ahead of it with Nutrafol, which is a clinically tested hair growth supplement for men. I love Nutrafol. Love Nutrafol. If you've been listening to this show, you know that Nutrafol's been with this show for a while because I can speak very highly of them. Why? Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand with over 1 million people seeking thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding. Nutrafol's no joke, man. You can take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair because for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men. But you got to enter that promo code BIGTHING. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and hairstylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Go to Nutrafol.com/men, Nutrafol.com/men, but enter that code BIGTHING. Nutrafol.com/men, promo code BIGTHING. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Come on, let's do it. Let's talk about sex. Hey guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? Everybody, you're like, yeah, back in the day, go whenever I wanted to. Well, now you can increase your performance. You can get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew's no joke. It's pretty great. It's a unique online service, and it delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets at a fraction of the cost. You can take them whenever, daytime, night. You can plan ahead, be ready whenever that opportunity arises. And the process is super simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you are approved, then you receive your prescription within days. And the best part? All online. No visit to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. So, for me, yes, it works. And the thing is, I didn't think I needed it, but hey, you try it for a month and you love it. You could be missing out on the best sex of your life. I'm telling you. They always say first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions? Do it. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. They do. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. Love that. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. You got to try Blue Chew free, but you got to use that promo code BIGTHING at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com. Promo code BIGTHING to receive your first month free. Yeah, did you hear that? Free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we got to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. All right, I want to thank our sponsors again for being part of the show. As I mentioned earlier, very, very, very important that if you want to support the show and you like what we're doing here, that's the way you can do it. So click those links. I always put it in the description. I always put it as a pinned comment. Any one of our wonderful sponsors here today, if you can do it, and you have the means to do it, please consider it because it will keep us going, keep the show going for a while. It's the easiest way you can do it. All right, before we get out of here today, there's a couple other things I want to show. I want to show this one. I'm going to start with this article that I think when you title it like this, you're asking for the, but there's a question behind it. Let me show it. All right, the Daily Mail, when they had that whole thing about the CIA program and everything too, is that people were like, "Oh, you can't take the Daily Mail serious." And there's a lot of stuff that they have that they report on that I think is pretty damn good. But like, I don't know, I love this title, and the title itself is.
I can't imagine why.
The title itself is, "What are they trying to tell us? Internal Pentagon report warns that America is unequipped to defend itself from an alien invasion." All right. So this is I think this is the thing that I just read, but it didn't say anything about an alien invasion. It just says something about UAPs, and this is you can't. This is the kind of stuff you can't dump this kind of title. You just can't. U.S. officials do not have the capabilities to defend America against a hypothetical alien invasion. Internal Pentagon watchdogs have determined. A newly classified document found the Department of Defense lacks comprehensive or coordinated effort to track and analyze UFOs, which have been rebranded UAPs in recent years. And this is the article the document that I just read. Yeah. There was no mention of aliens in there. There was no mention of extraterrestrials, nothing.
Yeah.
The Office of Inspector General made the eerie conclusion that this blind spot in DOD's defensive capabilities poses a threat to military force and national security, which it absolutely did say that. To address the issues identified in this report, the OIG has made 11 recommendations, including the enforcement of protection policies and the development of new tools in the event of an extraterrestrial attack. DOD efforts to identify and understand UAP has been irregular because of competing priorities, lack of substantial progress, and inconclusive findings, reads the evaluation of DOD's actions regarding unidentified anomalous phenomenon previously issued in 2023. However, military pilots have continued to report UAP incidents despite the sporadic efforts of the DoD to identify, report, and analyze the events. The 2023 report was a collection of evaluations to whether the Pentagon, military branches, defense agencies, and counterintelligence organizations conducted actions to detect, report, collect, analyze, and identify UAP. The DoD has not issued a comprehensive UAP response plan that identifies roles, responsibilities, requirements, and coordination procedures for detecting, reporting, collecting, analyzing, and identifying UAP incidents. The agency conducted the work for the evaluation from May 2021 through 2023 and interviewed presidential and DoD policies, directives, and guidance. Okay. However, the OIG has questioned the abilities of the nation to organize and defend itself in a summary of the classified report. They found that due to a lack of DoD-level guidance, the AARO has not developed a formal process to detect and report on unidentified objects in the U.S. skies. This is probably one of those things where, this is probably why Sean Kirkpatrick started to do what he was doing, if this is indeed the case. UAPs are designated as special interest items among military officials who require air crews to document and report sightings within 24 hours of shutting down the engines of their own aircraft. Some of those unexplained observations have been sent to the AARO, but the report noted that the DoD does not require military services to do so. I think the article itself is a valid article, and it's just saying that it's not equipped to handle whatever this is. But the flashy headline is they're not prepared for an alien invasion.
It's clickbait.
Like, what are you doing?
That's a sensational headline.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like that's the kind of stuff
that sets us back a bit.
But you're giving merit to what Kirkpatrick is saying in the first place.
Yeah.
Stop. even if it's 100% true, essentially what they're saying isn't wrong. It's like if this report is accurate, what AARO is talking about is that they haven't set up this system the right way. They don't know who's doing what. They don't know what's happening over there. They're not prepared, whatever these things are. Right. So yeah, if it turned out that there was a bunch of hot dogs in the ship, we wouldn't be ready for a hot dog invasion. It's like you could have said anything, but to do that, you're asking for people to go Daily Mail again doing their stuff, because they could have done that whole article without that silly headline. That was a silly headline.
Yeah,
it was that report. I think they would have benefited themselves more if they talked about, is this why Sean Kirkpatrick released what he did? Because he knew this was coming.
Right.
And made it about that, because everything they said in there was a good article. Stupid headline.
Yeah, it's a sensationalized headline.
Stupid headline.
Because they want just your average Joe surfing the internet looking for, tracking his package of whatever he's getting from Amazon, and there's an ad for maybe Daily Mail, and he goes, and it's one of those, I gotta see what it is. And they're not going to get, because then, as you said, the article actually gives you some great information and goes into some
maybe
specifics.
That's what they're trying to do, is get you with a headline and then say, but read what this is really about. But the problem is that
you're going to lose people before
you're turning into the National Enquirer Bat Boy stuff. Remember that?
Bat Boy.
Yeah, Bat Boy. It's like you can't do that. Even if it's true, you can't lead with that right now. It's like you're not there yet.
Yeah,
this was a bad move by them.
Yeah, you're only going to get a few people, I would think, like Randy Quaid from Independence Day clicking on that thing. I told you they're out there, they're coming. And it's like, that's not what we're saying.
Right.
All people will debunk you in the sense that if you bring this up, they think you're immediately talking about little green men from Mars.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about.
Especially not even in this article. That's not what they're talking about. They're just talking about,
farthest from what we're talking about.
Yeah, essentially what they're saying in this article is there is no plan in place to show whatever this is, whatever these things are, that if they were indeed hostile, whatever they are, experienced or well-advanced drones,
exactly,
whatever they are, we're not well-equipped to battle them. That, to me, is enough of whatever, even the title, whatever these UAPs are, we are not handled to defend against them. That's it.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, not alien invasion. You do that and you're just asking for that was a bad move. And I liked their article about the CIA stuff. I thought it was pretty good.
No, there's good stuff within the article, but you are using the sensationalized. Yeah. I've been saying it over and over again, but you are adding to the stigma that we are trying to buck up against, which is, it's not a 3 mile wide saucer that's hanging over the White House. It's not E.T. coming down to be best friends with a 10-year-old. We're talking about something that might be a drone or something from Russia or China that is advanced. That could be. That's what we're talking about. Not little green men, War of the Worlds, and Tom Cruise is going to have to save us.
Because if it is that side of it, if again, from all the reports and things that they've been for thousands of years, you would have seen that they would have tried to
done something by now
years ago. Like from the reports are when I mentioned last week, and people were excited that I did, and I'll mention it again. Did you watch that episode of Y-Files that I sent you yet?
No, I haven't.
You got to watch that.
Man. I know, I really do.
So good, and
I'm going to sit down and watch that.
You need to. And they mentioned inside of that too that the reports that they had from these remote viewers was that, or I think was that that whatever these creatures are, they look at us like the way that you and I look at birds. You're like, oh, look at that bird. Oh, a bird flew in my hand. Okay, that's a nice bird. I'll take care of that bird. And then the bird, you forget about the bird. You don't pay attention to the bird. And then the bird gets its hand on nuclear weapons, and you go, oh, maybe we should pay attention to that bird for a second. Get that out of there. Okay, let's go back to our business.
Yeah.
Us as humans, we're so freaking arrogant that we can't imagine that. We can't imagine we're not the center of the universe. And it's you could be, and I've always said this even before I started getting into this stuff, is that the idea that we're the smartest. You turn on the Floribama shore, we're not the smartest. You turn on any reality TV show, we might be the dumbest.
Yeah.
And yet we're wondering, well, if they had this kind of technology, wouldn't we know? No.
Yeah.
If they could do things that like bend space-time, how do we know we couldn't do that? Because we can't. We're dumb. as opposed to
Yeah.
what they could potentially do. Anyway, a lot of stuff. What do you guys think about the headline first and foremost with the Daily Mail? Do you think that there's nothing wrong with it? Do you think it was a good headline? Do you think that they're right, or do you think it was a stupid headline? They should have focused more so on the DoD. Tell us, comment, let us know what you think. Okay, so here it is. This is before we go. I have two videos that I want to get Reilly's opinion on. I want to get your opinion on. These were two. One, they're both fairly older, and our buddy Pavel, who's been on the show, sent these to me. And I want to see what you make of them. I want to see what you think of them. Do you think that they're legit? Do you think they're BS? Do you think that, what do you think about these? Let me play both of them. Here's the first one. All right, here it is, Reilly. Ready?
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Is the Empire attacking?
It looks like the Death. It looks like
a Star Destroyer.
It looks like something out of Star Wars. I mean, it really does. But like that's
But
about.
it's
Listen, now that's as clear of a footage that you're ever going to get. And play it again. And someone says it's a TR-3B. Whatever that is.
What the hell is that?
Whatever that is.
I mean, it's moving weird
It's
there.
moving weird.
That it makes me think it's CGI or somebody effing around.
Right. I don't know.
It looks, it looks like the
Says
First Order is
TR3
attacking,
Someone-
Crate.
Yeah, someone says TR-3B. So someone says, this is a bearded believer. It looks like the TR-3B. I've seen patents for it. July 26th. What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
The hell is
he's saying it like we know exactly what you're
I
talking
don't know what
about.
that is. A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah.
TR-3B, secret government craft, anti-gravity with conventional navigation. Google it. There's lots of stuff on it.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's what. So it people are saying it looks pretty legit. Look, it did it. But today, I don't know with CGI and everything too. It's
so hard.
It's so hard to tell. So, yeah, I think something floating around like that. But if it's a secret craft, I mean, you're flying pretty low for somebody to get you like that. I mean, that's the most clear footage I've ever seen of everything.
If that's one of ours, I mean, my
what they
God,
said.
yeah. If it's one of ours and it's patent pending,
What is it?
then why the hell is it flying so low? And how is it not? How is that footage not taken away? I tend to call bullshit. Just that it's it's like, all right, it looked weird, but I mean, I'm willing to buy that it's like patent pending. This is one of ours, and they were testing it out somewhere. Again, that's what we would like to know, I suppose. If you're gonna test something that is, you're gonna change our technology as we know it, like it's the next iPhone, but it's anti-gravity, whatever. I think it would behoove people to let us know so we don't freak the F out.
But it's also, if that is, let's play the side of it that's legit. That's that thing that they're talking about, whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah.
Now, if that is the case and that's something, then I'm going to start saying we've got to have a reverse engineer program. Like, what is that?
Yeah, right.
Like, what is that? Even if it is ours, like, what is that?
Like,
I mean, how you could develop that already? And you can develop. I mean, it's something right out of Star Wars.
It really is.
It's nuts. Now, this is the other one. This one's interesting also. It could be CGI. I don't know. But what say you guys? All right, Reilly, have you seen this one yet?
I have.
You have seen this one?
I have
Okay.
seen it. Yes, I'll tell you more.
Okay, so here's why. This seems to be on like a commercial flight or something. It seems. Okay. So here's why I think this is capital B, capital S.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Why isn't every single person on that plane losing their minds, screaming, "What is that?" It's so close to the airplane.
This is hysterical. When you sent this to me,
Yeah.
I saw this thing in 2008.
This
video.
Okay.
And that video that you shared is a copy of a copy of a copy of the original, probably.
Okay.
And the person that shared it, and this is why I know. I found this video. I was working on at the time a UFO script with a producer.
Okay.
and a manager that was, when we were going back and forth doing rewrites all over the place. And as you know, in Hollywood, sometimes they just drop off the face of the earth, right? You can't get them on the phone. You can't get them to answer an email. So I went and I Googled, and I found somebody that said, yeah, I made this CGI thing of a UFO flying next to an airplane. Here it is. And I grabbed that video, and I had just gotten married for the first time years ago, and I came back from my honeymoon at the time. And I wrote this producer, and I said, hey, I just got back from my honeymoon, and these guys buzzed our plane, and I got footage of it, and they want to know what's going on with our script. That was to get, to make myself stand out. Sure. And I grabbed that video.
Hilarious.
And I sent it to him, and he dropped me soon after. Said, oh, we can't, we're not, we figure we can't really go any further with this project.
Hilarious.
And I was like, you son of a bitch. But that is the video. That is the exact video I grabbed.
But all right, so it's the farts. It's not real.
It's the farts.
Right. So this is where it gets complicated overall. Because when you go on, whether it's UAP Twitter, UFO Twitter, whatever it is, you're going to see tons of these things. Mm-hmm. Now, this is something that is, I think, benefits the secret people, the people who are keeping the secrets. Because who knows what's out there that's real. There could be something. I've seen stuff where there's a guy and he's all like out of breath, and he sees this thing on the field, and the thing takes off in the air, and you're like, well, that's clearly fake. Mm-hmm. And I would say there's probably a 99% chance that it's fake. Mm-hmm. But that 1%, because something's floating around out there that you're like, because they go, there's so much. Because if you're working at, let's say, Lockheed Martin, whatever it is, and you go, they just put that thing on Twitter. There's tons of stuff on Twitter. Yeah, but they're going to think that one's real. No, they're not. Yeah. Why? Because everything else out there looks exactly the same. You got somebody doing this, and guess what? The legit one that's legit, the corridor crew just said it was fake. We're good.
Right.
Because the second they say it, then people go, oh, the corridor crew said it. And I like the corridor crew a lot, by the way. But they say everything's fake.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they looked at, very well, all of it could have been fake. But they're going to say everything's fake.
Right.
So that's where you're like, we're good. If you're don't worry about it. Let them release everything they want. The jellyfish is out. Do they have the part with the water? No. We're good.
Yeah.
So you got to understand that those conversations are definitely happening.
Sure.
So that's the footage we found here, guys. What do you think? Do you think they're both? I guess the first one is it ours? Is it fake? The second one is, clearly we know from someone who knows, it ain't real. Did you think it was real when you saw it?
Looks good.
There's a lot of stuff, and I get people that have been sending me stuff, sightings and stuff that they have seen and things that they have seen, and who knows what the hell it is, because that's the other side of it. You look up, and I have one that I haven't shown. Maybe if I can find it, I'll put it up while I'm talking about it. But like, I was grilling, and I don't know what this thing was. This red thing just zipped across the sky.
Yeah, you sent it to me, and I was like, what is that?
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I'll play it if I can find it on my phone. And I was like, well, I don't know what that is. And a month earlier, I had seen that thing of the things zipping around my sky and doing that, and I'm like, well, the chances, I've never seen these things. And I start talking about it on a show, and then it starts popping up. Am I imagining things? But the red one was like daytime, and it's like, I don't know what it is. So don't write that it's a balloon. Right. Just don't write a balloon. You can tell.
No, that wasn't a balloon.
That wasn't a balloon. I don't know what it was. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but it's something. It was like I don't know what that was. And it just kind of zipped across the sky. I was like, what the hell was that? And I sent it to you because I got it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got it, but I got it. And that's the first time I actually put that out there. But I don't know, right? That all this stuff, I guess we're going to be the big things that I believe that are going to happen over the next 2 months is that Gary Nolan, the Saul footage stuff, that's going to come out.
Yeah,
the information's going to come out. That's going to be probably like a 2-hour episode for you and I when we do that. And then the question of the hearing, like, when's that going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? So like
that's the big one for me, honestly. I mean, I think the Soul thing is definitely coming because there's been leaks from it, and but it's the hearing that always gets me interested, because that's what we're trying to do, is get our elected officials to get the information so that they can maybe make us feel better about what's going on. That they get some the answers, and that it's in a skiff, that it's going to be classified, so that is their. It's the first line of defense for them, and maybe it's technology or they don't know, and it could be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, whatever you want to say. At least that we have our elected officials that are looking into this so that they can now tell their constituents it's real, or we don't know, or it's bullshit.
Right. Well, there you go. What do you think it is? Thanks for joining us here today. Another great episode here, a great conversation I've had with Mark Reilly on UAP Tuesday. As I mentioned to you before, if you just stumbled upon our show because you're curious about the conversation surrounding the phenomenon, you wanted to get into it with people like yourself, then I hope you hit that button. I hope you're part of it. You will help us get to 200,000 subscribers faster than we got to 100. You just got to hit the button. If you want to help out a different way, and you want to help out and you want to support the show because you like what we're doing, please get one of our sponsors today. Get one, sign up. It helps out the show. I mean, more than you can possibly imagine. So thank you. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Mark Reilly, where can the good kids find you?
Yeah, you can find me online at Reilly Around, REILLY Around. See you there.
And for me, it's just Kristian Harloff. Everywhere you can find me, you'll do it. All right. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye.